Rhiannon, welcome to the shop floor.
Thank you for having me.
Our first distinguished guest.
That's the first time I've been called that. But
Oh, so episode 15.
Yeah.
And we finally got a guest. So thanks for joining us.
So we do have listeners, I've figured out. And Rhiannon, you wrote into us.
Quite early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the things you were speaking about really hit home and reminded me of my wild times in retail. So
Your glittering retail career.
don't know if it was that, but yeah, it was something.
So we have in the last few weeks, last couple of episodes, been sending call outs for people to come on the show. And we are always looking for new guests.
Yeah, so if anyone else is out there as brave as Rhiannon and believes you actually exist, then come on.
Yeah, be afraid. We're really gonna go there.
Take it easy on me.
So let's make a start. Tell me about your first foray into retail.
I guess it starts with most people, like you're leaving school, you want to make a bit of extra money. The easiest thing to do is to head into retail. A lot of your friends are already working in shops and things. So I lived in South London and just went to my local shopping centre, handing around CVs, that kind of thing, and landed a role in a Thorntons chocolate shop.
That's mad that you should say that. I don't know if you heard from one of the episodes, that was the first place I worked.
I mean, it was great. It was the cafe. So it was the shop and the cafe.
We had the cafe too.
Yeah, I loved it.
But Tim was the outlet, the kind of lesser
I
version.
was the discount store.
That's why they had him.
I just didn't think that they felt that I was suited to a premium location.
I don't know if Croydon's a premium location, but
Take it, yeah.
Take it.
So tell us about that first gig at Thorntons.
Honestly, I loved it. It was the best time. I made the best friends, some of who I've still got today. And I learnt loads. And I do remember when I first started working there, people used to say, how do you work here and stay so slim? And then by the end of it, no one said that to me anymore. So I really became a connoisseur of the Thorntons chocolate.
And do you remember what your favourite chocolate was?
The Viennese or the Alpini, I think it was.
Oh, I love
the Alpini.
those. That looked a bit like a Yule log.
Yes. And a cappuccino. I was partial to a cappuccino bar.
Jelly spiders were my favourite.
Really?
But what is that? You
It was
always
a
mention
giant,
it.
like a spider-sized jelly.
But it's a chocolate shop, not
I know,
a
but
jelly
I was
shop.
into the jellies.
Of
So they
course.
had the cafe. How old are you?
16 to 18.
And how old are you now?
36.
Okay, so I'm 4 years older. So the cafe was still quite a new concept, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then?
But it was popular actually. We had our regulars. So it was nice to see the same faces.
And were you making coffees?
I was making coffees. I was a barista.
Oh my gosh, I did barista.
Yes. So I went that was my next step into I went to work at a Costa. But thank goodness for Thorntons for setting me on that path.
Wow. I remember I wasn't in the cafe, but I was on the till. But when they were desperate, someone didn't turn up. I somehow ended up trying to make a coffee. I remember one guy giving him his coffee. He was like, that's not a cappuccino, is it? I was like, I'm not sure. 16.
It's hot milk.
Yeah, I did both, but and then we also had an ice cream section at the front as well. I hated being on ice cream.
Yeah, I've still got PTSD from scooping ice cream.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah, we've both scooped ice cream and honestly, what's the thing you get carpal tunnel?
Yeah.
It really hurts.
Yeah.
People don't recognise this.
I mean, nobody understood the trauma we went through. We would leave and be broken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everyone became an alcoholic. We did this ice cream event
Yeah.
and it was just so stressful. And then you stank of stale milk afterwards.
I remember I got in trouble once because I accidentally left the doors open overnight and everything melted. We lost a lot of money.
We had that.
That was the norm.
Yeah, that was a norm when we were working. Freezers breaking, all
What
melting.
did you expect? They made me a supervisor. Why would you make an 18-year-old girl a supervisor? They were really desperate.
That's quite good, actually. I like that.
But no, they made me work the rubbish shifts, New Year's Day, that kind of
No, I thought
Yeah.
the benefit of being like a supervisor or manager means you don't have to do that.
I wasn't the manager. The manager got to set the rota still.
Do
So.
you remember what your salary was?
Oh, I mean, pennies and pounds, wasn't it?
Your hourly rate?
I reckon I must have started on about £7 an hour or
Okay.
something around that.
Mine was 288. No. Yeah. I
God,
still
you're that
recall.
old.
Wow.
Yeah,
That wasn't it in shillings when you were working.
God, maybe I need to go back and look at some old pay slips. Maybe it was less than that. But anyway, I had a good time.
And was there ever a Christmas party at Thorntons or Costa?
We It wasn't an official one, never from head office. We would just arrange it.
I suppose at
amongst
this
ourselves.
point, do you drink alcohol?
I do.
So at this point, you were underage.
Yes, but that was the thing back then. That was fine. So,
Oh, it was underage drinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
the norm.
encouraged.
Yeah,
Part of growing up.
and I wasn't. Yeah, but Croydon was also renowned for allowing underage drinking to occur.
Well, I grew
Not
up in
anymore.
Somerset, so it was always
That was age 5,
cider in a field somewhere. So then you moved on to Costa.
I did. That was whilst I was at university,
Where did you go to uni?
Southampton. So I was down there.
And what did you study?
I studied business management,
Oh,
but I actually followed one of my Thorntons friends who was a year older than me, went to Southampton. So I used to do a shift at Thorntons, down some espressos, drive down to Southampton for a night out, and then drive home the next morning and work. But she started the year before. I didn't go and look at any other universities because I was like, I love Southampton. It's a great party city.
Yeah.
So, and she'd already got a job in Costa, so she got me in there. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just
tell-
slid right in.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's
Tell
good.
us about Costa life.
Costa was
Costa's my least favourite coffee shop
It's-
on the high street.
It's
I have
mine.
to
I don't
say.
actually like the coffee there. But they did do good training, and I think my barista training got leveled up from Thorntons. So that was a good takeaway.
Oh, definitely. If it was anything like Tim's barista training at Thorntons,
Which was
can't be that
zilch.
much.
To be honest, people are more going there for the hot chocolates.
Yeah,
than the
100%.
coffee, so-
I worked at Whittards and I had a lot of hot chocolate there.
Yeah.
And then I also did a barista situation. But I love the ham and cheese toasties at Costa.
Yes.
You joking? That's my favourite thing.
The leftover toasties and paninis and things were a good perk.
Oh, it's the leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the
Dinners.
shops soiled, damaged. That for me at Thorntons. You know, a
Well,
damaged box.
You know what I found out? I remember figuring this out. At Starbucks, they had 2 like fruit slices. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a toast where it's got like sultanas in.
Yes.
And they were both ends of the bread. And I remember asking them, like, why is it always they look like ends of the bread? And she said they actually sell the loaf as a product and then they just get the ends and they need to make it into something else.
Really?
Yeah. Nifty.
Wow. God, we're learning all the inside details here. And how long were you at Costa?
So that was just whilst I was at uni. So I did 2 or 3 years there. Yeah.
Were you working part-time on the weekends? Or
Yeah, part-time, evenings, days I didn't have lectures and things like that.
what about a hangover working at Costa?
That wasn't too. It wasn't too bad. I'm one of those annoying people that don't really suffer from a hangover. Or if I do, it's like once a year, something like that.
Wow.
So I can kind of power through.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't actually drink coffee, so I could just like be one of those people who just kind of got through on. Like,
Yeah, I was the same.
I'm the same.
didn't drink
I
coffee.
don't drink coffee.
I don't really drink it even now much.
I think I've had 5 today. I really
I've had one.
Yeah, I'm in a coffee crash.
I
right
go
now.
through ways, but I'm starting a new job at a coffee shop, so I
are
really
you?
should. Yeah.
So what? Have you left your retail gig?
Little announcement. I'm finally out of retail
No
as
way.
of tomorrow.
Congratulations.
I know. I left.
Why?
Well, 1, because the travel was so expensive. 2, because of my internship. And it wasn't very flexible.
So you were doing
allowing me-
full-time
Yeah,
and
I
then
was
2
doing
days.
full-time and internship and they weren't being very flexible and it was quite hard to juggle. And 3, need a change. I think when you work somewhere kind of for 2 years, you do want to change, especially in retail. Especially if lots of my friends were leaving at the same time. You left.
So what you're telling us is that you've left them high and dry during peak Christmas trade
Yeah. Yeah. See ya.
and sale.
And sale.
Wow, Jasmine.
I'm
Brave.
the world's best employee. Thinking of the one and only myself.
So were you at Costa throughout this, was it 3-year degree?
I was out there when I was at uni. The times I wasn't at uni, I actually got into luxury retail back in London.
Ooh.
So I was a summer and Christmas sales girl at Harrods.
Interesting. Oh, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
Tim loves Harrods.
I love a department store. Tell me about the hiring process at Harrods. What was that like?
It was pretty brutal, to be honest.
So, and were you employed by Harrods or a
Yes.
concession?
I was an agency or concession, so I was Harrods' own bought.
Spill.
So I kind of went into it thinking, you know, they'd already seen my CV. It would be a quick 10-minute conversation. That'd be it. But no, it was a full-on assessment centre, 100 people in an auditorium.
No way.
Yeah.
Not at the store.
Across the road from the store, there's like the head office. There's
Under
like a
the tunnel. Yeah.
There's a tunnel that connects the store and the office over the road. So yeah, we were over there, and it was a dog eat dog, stand up and try and sell a mushroom.
No.
Yeah.
That's
Mushroom.
the worst.
I think they literally like gave out picture cards, and you had to stand up and do a 1-minute pitch in front of everyone.
No.
And I just was not, I was just like this indie kid from uni. So I went in my red ballet pumps and like a white shirt and some jeans, and there's people there in like full on suited and
Yes,
booted.
I've seen
in a
them.
dodgy polyester suit. Yeah, I've been there.
Bought 5
I've been
minutes
there.
before.
Like frantically. I remember I had an interview at Harvey Nicks, actually, a store approval in Knightsbridge. Getting the train down, it was absolutely red hot. And the day before, bought this dirt cheap polyester suit from Top Man. I was melting and turned up to the interview dripping, like half an hour late. It was not cute.
Did you get the job?
I got my store approval only because the concession was absolutely desperate for staff. I was at Postmistress, so that was like office shoes attempt at luxury fashion, which didn't really work. So obviously you impressed them though. You got the job.
This is like the Hunger Games.
It was. And I remember them telling us, like from the beginning, it was literally, I can't remember what the statistic was. It was something like only 1 in 100 applicants gets a job here. So you felt like flipping heck out of this room of however many people in. It's not going to be many of us that if we get through.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of back when department stores were still seen as a great place to work. Everybody wanted to work in a department store.
Sure. And Harrods, I mean, like...
Was it exciting? Did you feel it was exciting?
I did feel excited. I felt special. I felt special to be there.
And I think that's what department stores were all about. You felt special working there. And obviously the clients felt special going in there because the service was so excellent.
It was honestly like magical sometimes in that place.
So you were there in the era of Mohammed Al Fayed.
I was.
So that's when the store was still magical.
Yeah, because he had his faults, but I think he could take good responsibility for making the store the special place that it was.
Yeah, and I think he was a traditionalist, or certainly the management team in place back then still understood that Harrods was a store with so much rich history.
Yeah.
And locals shopped there as it was their local store.
Yeah.
And it still had a traditional vibe.
And it was about like retail theatre. That's what they were trying to create as well. It wasn't...
That's what we create, isn't it?
That's why you're such a clown.
Wow. So where were you working in the store?
So I was I think out of the big group of us, I can't remember, it was over 100 people. I think 4 of us got through and got jobs. And this is just for a temporary summer role.
I can't believe you do this just for the temp roles.
I know. So
and how many steps was it? Just that day? Then you'd find out if you'd got the role.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
It was just that day. I think you had to. They obviously must have checked your CV and things beforehand and vetted you. And it, depending on where you were going, you may have had to go and have further store approval. If you were going to the food halls, you needed to have a medical and that kind of thing. But I got placed in ski and surf on the 5th floor.
In the heavens.
Yes, up with the gods.
Is that the top floor, 5th floor?
Top floor, 5th floor. So that's where Al Fayed's office was. So half of the floor was his office.
I'd be stressed.
Yeah. So every time he would be walking through.
And didn't he do a floor walk every day?
Pretty much. When he was in, he would do a floor walk, and it was all hands on deck. You'd have each department ringing the next department saying
So
he's on his way.
Yeah.
So get everyone stand to attention.
Wow.
It's like when you're around, people do that, Tim, but they're like, oh my God, he's coming quick.
It's scared of me. Am I scary?
Hey, a little bit.
I don't think so. And was the waxwork there of Mohammed Al Fayed, or did that come later?
No, that was already there.
Was it?
We had that.
Did you have to bow to that at the start of your shift?
I'm sure he would have liked that, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't in the policy.
And what was the culture like there? What was the management culture? Was there a culture of fear? You know, like you just said, when he was coming onto the floor, there was an energy on the floor that he's around.
Yeah, it wasn't so much fear. It was just like a really deep respect, I would say.
Wow.
Like it was very old school. It was very
He was the store.
Yeah.
He was the embodiment and vice versa.
Totally. I feel like the store was an extension of him.
Yeah.
And so that's, and I think, and everyone kind of acknowledged that and was respectful of that. And I think because I came into it, I was so young, you just absorb what everyone else around you is doing.
Sure.
So if that's how they're acting, then you start acting in the same way and, you know, believing that he's like a big deal.
Yeah, and I'm sure you worked alongside employees that have been there for 20, 30 years.
Oh, yeah. There were career sales associates there for sure.
And were you earning commission?
I was earning commission, but at one point it was for the sales and temps, it was like a group commission.
Right.
So it wasn't super competitive in that sense. But for full-time employees, they were on their own
Yeah, and I
full
think
commission.
there's that element of pride of working somewhere. You're going to give exceptional service, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, they spent a lot of effort on training and things like that. And there was, you know, the guidebook and the dress code was super strict. And
And what was that? Heels, makeup?
heels, like, honestly, like giving you a tutorial on how to do your makeup.
No.
If you were going to wear jewellery, diamonds and pearls were preferred.
Because we can all afford that.
I
in
mean,
sales
I wasn't
assistant
on that.
salary.
I
I'd have
wasn't
been
on that
bare then. I'd have had no jewelry.
Diamond tea.
And all black was the
Hair?
hair was in there, you know, nothing too wild in terms of having it in colours and things like that.
So polished.
Very polished, even down to, you know, skincare was really,
No.
yeah.
Wow.
What was that involving?
I mean, if your skin wasn't looking great, it would be flagged.
That's nuts.
Oh my gosh, people would kick off now if they were pulled in for a chat.
That's what
like
I'm
that.
saying. It's
I
a
mean,
different
it's
time.
been, a huge change now, massive shift, because I come from the same kind of generation of retail worker where it was all, you had to be polished. Girls had to wear makeup and wear heels.
Yeah.
I remember when I was managing Christian Louboutin and the girls were encouraged to wear heels, and we'd opened the new concession in the shoe galleries in Selfridges. Within 2 days, they were crippled,
Yeah.
literally crying in the stock room, bleeding feet,
They probably got,
begging me for a pair of flats. It was a lot.
they've all got bunions now probably and like
No.
Lasting trauma and physical deformities.
I remember getting like a quite serious foot infection, like in the Christmas sales, and then they put me in the stock room
no. They're like, you can't be on the shop floor with this.
because I couldn't walk.
So you're literally hobbling around.
Yeah, it was awful.
And so ski and surf, was that like all ski gear, surfing equipment?
Yeah, so it was in the sports floor. So yeah, it was like all of the high end ski.
What were the
ski
clients
wear.
like?
So at this sort of time, because we had a very international clientele, so you had lots of locals,
Yeah.
obviously tourists, but actually you'd find that the tourists would sort of waver off by like level 1 and 2, so they never actually really came up to the
Couldn't be
fifth floor too
bothered.
much. So if you were shopping there, you knew where you were going there for. But this is also the time where like Russians were very big, so we had lots of Russian
Middle Eastern clients.
Middle Eastern clients with their, you know, holders of cash,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
I'll take that, thank you.
I mean, that's, because of money laundering laws. When I was at Hermes and department stores, I think the maximum cash that could be spent in one transaction was 10,000
Yeah.
to prevent money. I'm not suggesting that these people using cash, paying with cash were.
Just in case.
But yeah, the company has to cover
and we
themselves.
had security on like standby to come and facilitate those transactions because they would happen quite often.
And the other people that would tend to pay by cash were drug dealers. We would get that a lot. Were they going skiing for the winter holiday? I'm not sure.
Possibly so.
Well, they take it some other snow.
We'd always know if it was a drug dealer. It'd tend to be £5 and £10 notes rather than 50s.
Right.
And would you get those clients tipping you?
No.
Was strict rules on tipping?
Yeah. Well, I think just in my particular area, it didn't go hand in hand. Maybe on the lower ground, like in the fashion and jewelry areas,
Yeah.
maybe that'd be more of a thing. But no.
I mean, you could kind of guess who might tip. So I would always offer to carry their bags. And quite often I'd be slipped a £50 note.
Really?
Yeah, when you're a student, I mean, that's like cha-ching. That's a
Yeah, I'd
night
be
out.
thrilled. But
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what about company perks?
I mean, the discount. The discount was fantastic.
The Holy Grail.
However, you know, like we said, we weren't earning the mega money to be shopping at Harrods normally.
Yeah.
But the discount definitely helped, and I became very popular amongst my family and friends.
Of course. And luxury wasn't as expensive then.
No, I mean, I think, you know, back then you could get a Mulberry Bayswater for £500.
And what do they retail at now?
Oh, 1,500 at least, something like that.
Bonkers. And it will still have been made in Somerset then.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing's changed about it. And then you would get you'd get discount on top of that. It would differ from concession to concession, but yeah, the discount was pretty good. And also using it in the food halls and things like that. And I just think it was nice for, you know, like I said, like you felt special being there. And then when you would tell people that you worked at Harrods, it would elevate you somewhat. So my family were always really like proud and happy to like even receive just like a tin of Harrods biscuits for Christmas and things like that.
I mean, still now, I was vaguely dating someone last Christmas and brought me a Harrods bag with a bottle of champagne. It's like so nice. God. It's an event, not dating anymore.
Too kind for you.
But it had that kind of kudos, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And on this, I was going to say the skiing department, do you ever have any royals coming in? Because obviously this is pre-online shopping. So if you're going skiing in Fergie and Prince, what was he called? Prince Andrew going skiing in Verbier.
Well, we wouldn't have any British royals coming in.
Okay.
Because post the Dope
situation. That's how I know who he is.
So pre-Diana dying, they had royal warrants, didn't they?
Yes.
Which were clearly...
I believe so.
They did. So. They were on the side of the store.
So, yeah, and then...
When he accused them of murdering Diana, they were quickly rescinded.
Yeah. Oh. So, yeah, we never had British royals.
What about celebs?
Yeah, we did get celebs through. I never kitted anyone out in full ski gear, but to be honest, I more saw celebs around the store as opposed to I don't recall serving any major celebs, but yeah, I remember seeing lots around the store for sure.
And we spoke when we briefly spoke before you coming on the show about, you know, you would use your discount and buy your lunch in the food hall. Like now that seemed madness that I don't think anyone could afford to do that.
No.
But you would go to the food hall on your lunch break?
Yeah, could do. I mean, we had a canteen as well, which was highly subsidised, which was nice. But yeah, it'd be nice to go down to the food halls, grab my standard turkey, brie and cranberry baguette or whatever it was at the time. Gosh. And you get your discount on that too.
I mean, we just worked somewhere that had a cafe. The staff could not afford to dine there for lunch. It's really changed. When I was at Harvey Nicks, I would use my discount and go to the 5th floor and get my lunch. And they also had a subsidised cafe that was amazing.
And didn't they have a subsidised bar? Because I had a friend who worked at Harvey Nicks, so I'd sometimes leave Harrods on a Friday night, go to the Harvey Nicks bar, and he'd get 50% off
Well, we all
drinks.
know what goes on in the Harvey Nicks 5th floor bar, don't we? It was very well known for men going to pick up escorts. It was very well known for that.
I was not there for that, can I just say? I genuinely just had a friend that worked there, and I was there for discounted drinks.
And we'd also get discount in the other restaurants. There's Oxo Tower. The discount was very good. And did you get discount on top of seasonal sale discounts?
Yes.
What?
Let's talk about this.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, can I tell you that I remember one year I got 2 pairs of Gucci shoes discounted, and then with my extra that were already in the sale, and then with my extra discount, £15 a pair.
No.
£15.
So this used to happen all the time at Harvey Nicks. If you saw something you liked, you'd hide it in the stockroom. You know those panelled ceilings where they have the square panels?
Yeah. No, you would not.
Members of staff would hide the stock that they wanted before the sale lists above the ceiling, so in case it was a stock take, it wouldn't get found. And then we would wait. So further discount. And then I think the last week before the sale, you got an extra 20% on top. I got a giant leather Balenciaga holder for £100.
I mean, When else?
I mean, we were decked out in luxury.
That's the thing.
products.
I mean, I was not earning that money, but I really looked the part for a period of time. But yeah, you're right. So at the beginning of the sale, staff, I mean, I don't think staff were allowed to shop for the first couple of days of sale.
Okay.
But you, as the sale went on, I would just go back to shoes and just check if they were still there. And you would be able to kind of have a preview on how much further they were going to drop down in price, and obviously leave it to the very last minute. And
what about write-offs too? I remember my ex, there was a return Dolce & Gabbana coat that I think it retailed for something insane, with like really detailed embroidery for about £5,000. And because it had been written off, they sold it to him for like 50 quid or something.
amazing. I'm sure that probably did happen, but I think you almost had to be in there with the buyers
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Or
get
just
those
deviant.
sorts of deals.
That's what you imagine
right-
all the stuff left in Harvey
Right
Nick
place
ceiling
at the
now
right time.
from people who got fired and never got their stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine.
I mean, also shoplifting by the staff was rife. You would
Really?
hear through the grapevine, oh, they're no longer working here.
Wow.
Yeah, stuff would go
Do you know,
missing.
I never really heard of that. I think so. Where we used to have the tunnel that connected the store, you had to leave your belongings on the other side, and or if you wanted to take anything through to the shop floor with you, you had to put it in a clear plastic bag.
Yes.
And then anything you bought whilst on the floor, you'd have to keep your receipt and get it stamped by security before you're out. So they were really all over that. I never really heard of that very often.
And what about things like, was there a lot of kind of dating amongst, shop floor members of staff? Like,
Totally.
was there? Yeah.
Lots of it. Like multiple married couples from working together.
Had met on the shop floor and married.
Yeah.
It's a really intense place a department store to work. And obviously, there's so much choice. I mean, they employ
out.
thousands of people.
Although I feel like the ratio of women to men was definitely more heavier on the women's side. So
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that, and retail certainly changed. But, companies wanted sales assistants that were easy on the eye, and I think that ratio was heavily tipped towards female members
Yeah.
of staff.
it was a very beautiful place to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when we're talking about this now. It was just would be so unacceptable in any retail
Does that
space.
mean that all the men were really hot then?
Like for the most part.
So there's just like they did it for you. They did the picking for you. Perfect. All the
Yeah, I mean, I'd
hotties.
also heard that definitely at Harrods, certainly at Selfridges, that there would be members of the sales team that were also working as escorts and then would give their business card. So people would come into store and
Right.
ask for their number. They would give their business card. Often members of staff in a department store or a luxury store have a business card.
Yeah.
And we're hooking up with customers for payment. Like, wild.
Sounds like us the other day in Selfridges when we were handing
What
out
are
our
you
business
suggesting?
cards.
Oh yeah, so we were sneakily handing out the shop floor cards, trying to get some guests
I
on the
think
show.
I definitely heard of a few people, especially like in accessories and fashion, that would meet very wealthy clients and go on dates with them and things like that. But then would develop into relationships like footballers and things like
Really?
that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's again the reason that Harvey Nichols certainly had very strict rules on gifting to
Right.
try to prevent, relationships or interactions that would be questionable, or that the customer was influencing the sales assistant in any way to offer them gifts. I heard a story, someone that was working at Hermes in Selfridges, and every client wanted a Birkin,
Yeah.
and the bribes that would happen. 1 year they were given a box of chocolates by a client. They opened the box of chocolates and inside was £5,000 in cash as a bribe to try to get a Birkin.
I'd say it's a donation to the GoFundMe Jasmine Key. It's not a bag.
I mean, you're just going to pocket that. I would. I would
and
not
then
be
I'd replace it.
disclosing
I'd
that.
replace it with the chocolates and just go, oh, they only gave me chocolates. Here you
I'd
go.
give the chocolates to staff, say, guys, you know what? I'm on a
Treat
diet.
yourselves.
Of course. Yeah, no, but then I remember in the period of time I was there, because after I left the shop floor, I did go, work in the head office, but still in the store.
You made the transition.
I did.
And because that's the holy grail, I think, for so many people working on the shop floor to kind of move into head office. How did you make that happen?
Well, I think Harrods was special at the time because head office was in the store. So there were offices dotted around the shop floor essentially. So it wasn't a million miles away. You didn't have to go and have it to be interviewed at another location. I know that's not the case now, that I think they've got separate offices somewhere else now. But yeah, so I had obviously done the Christmas and summer campaigns, gone back to university, graduated. I graduated in 2008, which was the middle of the crash, the worst time to find a job.
That's when I lost my job at Patrick Cox. The company went under that year.
God.
So I kind of went back just to have anything. Like I would have gone back on the shop floor, but they happened to be looking for temporary head office staff, like in the HR department specifically. So I went for that, and
so were you involved in hiring then if you were working in HR?
So it went the other way. So I actually went from being a temp to working on the temporary recruitment campaigns.
So you're doing the store approvals?
We had a separate store approvals department, but I was involved in the process. Yeah.